Alright, for today's video we're going to be checking out the new BETAFPV Air2 Wisp, and this one is the glow-in-the-dark version. Now I did do a video on the new frame here, the Air2 frame, and now they have an Air2 Canopy, which is a little bit lighter. We'll talk about that in this video. But the performance difference, if you're wondering right off the bat, there's pretty much none that I can tell. So essentially what you're getting here is a pre-made whoop with the updated frame and canopy, and there's only 1,000 of these that are going to be made. So it's a limited edition, like the Champions edition that was made last year. So if you're looking for something that's already got the frame and the canopy on there, then yeah, you should probably pick this up. There is an issue with durability. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. I do want to mention that there is going to be a Black Friday sale coming from BETAFPV. They did want me to mention that in this video. I didn't get any details on what's going to be on for sale, so I will link that in the video description when I figure that out, or when they tell me, or I'll put that in the community post on my channel, so you can check it out there. Now, in terms of the performance, you can go watch the video where I did the conversion. I took the original Air and I converted it into the Air 2 with the Air 2 frame, but this one has the old canopy, and I'll talk about what the differences are in the canopy in a second here. But essentially it's the same whoop. So they're using the racing version and motors. So they have the 0702 SC Mark II 27,000 kV motors. Are the same on both of these, and they both have the same 5-in-1 all-in-one flight controller, same camera and VTX, and basically the only difference here is that the canopy on the conversion here is the older canopy, and now they have the new updated canopy on this one here. But in terms of performance, there's no difference because they pretty much weigh the same, even though the canopy is a little bit lighter, and I will talk about why that is, because the frame is a little bit heavier, and it has to do with that fluorescent dye that they're using to make this glow in the dark, and we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, if you're wondering about performance differences, absolutely none that I could tell. All the parts are essentially the same. The only benefit you're getting of this model here is that it comes pre-built with the new frame and canopy, whereas you would have to buy the frame separately, and you can buy the non-fluorescent version of the frames, all those different colors, separately, as well as the new canopy. Those are also going to be available separately as well, and then you can do the conversion to this one. Now, I believe at some point in the future, now don't take my word for this is my speculation, is that they will come out with a Air 2 full version with the frame and the canopy already on there. I believe what they're doing is they're probably going through the old inventory of already built of the Air with the old frame and the old canopy. And so basically at this point right now, as of the time of the filming this video, November 2025, you do have to buy the old version with the old frame and canopy, and then you have to buy the updated Air 2 and Air 2 frame, Air 2 canopy, and then you can convert it yourself. It's not very difficult to do, but if you know, there's some people that just don't want to do that, then you'll have to buy the Wisp. But there's only 1,000 of these. Now, there's only a $5 difference between the original and the Wisp version, but they do include a spare frame and a spare canopy, and that's because they're saying that the dye that they're using to make this fluorescently glow does impact durability. And I had a few crashes, but I didn't break anything. It's just like every crash is different, but if they're telling you that they think it's going to affect durability, which is pretty well known that the dyes that go into these plastics do affect the durability, it does feel a little bit more brittle. But again, it's very subjective in terms of how it feels. That's why they include the extra frame and the canopy there for the extra $5. Now, in terms of the differences in the canopies, I'll talk about that now. The differences in the frame, I talked about that in the previous video. I'll link that in the video description, so please go and watch that if you have any questions about that. But here's the old canopy here. You see it's got this sort of angle here, and the screw hole for the camera is in the front here, whereas this newer one, there's no angle here. It's basically a smooth curve, same in the front here, and they move the screw hole to the back behind this part of the canopy instead of the front. So that should also improve the durability while keeping it as light as possible. But let's go ahead and I'll just show you what the difference is in the weight. They said it's 24% lighter. So the old canopy is coming in at, on my scale, 0.643 grams. And then the new canopy is coming in at, let's put it on here so it doesn't fall off, 0.513 grams. So, yeah, about 24% lighter. Now, they did remove the front grommet here on the Wisp. So this comes pre-built like this one here. Grommets are in the two on the side here and one in the back, those little rubber grommets. That's what that looks like right there. Now, they did that saying that that improves durability and crashes. If they say so, I guess so. On the original, you can see that the grommet is on here. But interestingly, when you weigh it, this is my conversion with the lighter Air 2 frame, 17.17 grams. And then with the Wisp that's fully built, it's actually a little bit heavier, 17.21 grams. And that's because of the weight of the fluorescent frame has a little bit more in terms of that die. So this is 2.677 grams on my scale for the fluorescent frame. And then for the standard Air 2 frame, it's 2.572 grams. So this one is actually a little bit lighter, and that's due to the fluorescent dye that's in here, I believe. Now, the props on here are a little bit different as well. These are still the 1219s from GemFan. You can see they look the same as what's on the original, but they put that fluorescent dye in the prop material as well, which is not going to be easy to see, but you can kind of see it's got these little specks in the actual plastic, and that makes it fluorescent as well. So that's something to take into account. Now, in terms of actually seeing the thing glow, when it comes out of the box, it doesn't glow at all. You have to charge it with some UV light. So you can either stick it in the sun, which you can do, but then it doesn't last that long. So you can stick it in the sun for maybe like a minute or two, and then it'll charge it up. And then when you take it to somewhere dark, it will glow. And so I'll show you a little before and after here of what it looked like when it's not glowing and then when it's glowing. And it actually is fairly visible to the naked eye. It's a little hard to capture on camera, but yeah, you can see that it is glowing. But obviously, if you're going to be flying this, indoors at night, the sun's not going to be around. You're going to need some sort of a UV light source to charge up the frame to get it to glow. So you would need something like a black light. I have one of these flashlights here. This is actually not out yet. I have a video on my main channel. If you're wondering what this is the Olight Arc Pro, and this has a UV light on here. And this video will come out on my main channel in about a week. So if you're wondering about this, but it has the UV light. Basically, you shine it at the frame here, and then that actually charges up the plastic or that dye so that it will fluoresce a little bit. And it's not going to, my lights are too bright here, but basically you can just kind of flash it at this here, and then once it's charged up, it will glow, and you can see a little bit of glowing there. It stays on. Obviously, the longer you charge it, the longer it'll glow. So if you charge it for about 2 minutes, I think it'll glow for about 2 minutes. I think it's about a 1-for-1 if I remember right. But yeah, you can see it kind of glows a little bit. Even under these lights, you can kind of see it slightly compared to on the other side where it's not glowing at all. But yeah, the UV effect is not permanent. It only lasts for a short amount of time. Now, in terms of seeing this in flight, I did try and fly completely in the dark with some LED gates and stuff. It's kind of hard to fly in the dark when it's that dark. I did have to turn the brightness up on my goggles all the way, but it is possible, and I did try and capture what this looks like glowing in the dark. Just if you're wondering if other pilots will be able to see you, I think they will, but also keep in mind that the LEDs that are on the flight controller are actually significantly brighter than the frame that's glowing, although I think overall it does make the frame look a little bit like it stands out, so people that are following you will definitely see that you're glowing, especially if it's dark enough. But if it's super bright, obviously it's not going to matter. If they're in a really bright room, I charge this up and you can't even barely see that it's glowing at all. But it's only going to matter if you're flying in really really dark area, and you have a lot of LEDs and stuff like that, then it'll look kind of cool. So yeah, honestly, like overall, it's kind of gimmicky in my opinion. You know, you are getting the extra frame and canopy. It's only $5 more, but it is a little bit less durable. So that's why they give you the extra frame and canopy. So you're probably going to suffer some crashes where it's going to break. And then you're going to be swapping it out for a regular frame anyway. So not sure how much value there is in that, and other than that, the fact that it comes pre-built, and then you'll only have to swap the frame out when you crash and break something, versus when you if you go the other route, you have to buy the original Air and then buy the Air 2 canopy and Air 2 frame and then swap it out before you can even fly it. So, you know, it's kind of gimmicky because I don't think that they're going to come out with a non-Wisp version or non-fluorescent version of this one until the stock of the old Air is basically run out, which is probably going to take a bit of while. You know, it's hard to say, but it might take a while. Anyway, yeah, that's going to cover for this video. Thought it was interesting that they have this sort of product where it's kind of glows in the dark, but, you know, again, I think it's kind of gimmicky, not really going to be for everybody, but, you know, who knows? If you are into that kind of thing and you want like a bunch of glowing tiny wisps flying around in a dark track, then yeah, that would be kind of cool. If you have any videos on that, let me know in the comments below as to like who's doing videos on these glowing races. I haven't seen any yet, but if you haven't seen any or whatever, mention it in the comments, and then hopefully that'll get other people interested in it. Anyway, link will be in the description if you guys want to check this one out. I'll have the link to the Black Friday sale as well down in the description once I get that, and that'll do it for this one. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.